Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Oh, just even seconds before we get on to this podcast, she gave me some information based on her ability, and I gotta say it was accurate. I'm just like I was laughing, like, yeah, you're right. Yeah. And timing was everything, in which she just out of nowhere just threw some things my way. Why am I surprised? She's our professional of the year. She's an amazing intuitive. She gets beyond the veil, kind of, I like to say, pull the curtains back. And that's kind of what we're going to do today in terms of what she does. How do psychic mediums get what they get? How do they pull this information out from the other side or from wherever? What tools are they using? Kimberly Smith is back with us. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's great to be back with you, Steve.
Wonderful to have you back here. And even though the psychic world has been a part of my world for many years, I am not a psychic, but connected with people who are, including yourself. I always wonder how you get those messages. And sometimes there's a common thread for most psychics. Otherwise, sometimes it's totally different. I would love for you to walk us through the process. How do you get what you get?
I'd love to walk you through the process. Well, there's like, at least for me, there are three primary techniques that come into play, or could say that I use, or present themselves to me in order for me to get the information that I get to do a reading for my clients. So the most common one that we all talk about and we all think about when we think about seeing a psychic or a medium is clairvoyance. I think everybody is familiar with the word clairvoyance, but maybe not as familiar. What exactly does clairvoyance mean? So clairvoyance means having a clear vision, seeing something. So for me, that is a big technique. It's not so much as a technique, but that's a lot of how information comes to me. I see things in my head, or I'm given symbols and words, even. And that's how some of the information might come to me. So that's the clairvoyant end of it. What are the kinds of things? They're visions. When we're having a clairvoyant experience as a psychic or a medium, we're having visions of something. And I think I remember telling you about some of the visions that I get. Also dreams. I have dreams about things, and sometimes I wake up and I see the things happening on the TV,
Mm.
or I get a feeling about something that I'm watching on TV, and shortly thereafter, it comes to fruition. So that's the clairvoyant part of it. There's
Mm.
also something called clairaudience. Clairaudience is clear hearing, or hearing voices. That sounds like crazy person. Oh, I hear voices. But a lot of times when I'm talking to the other side, or the other side is talking to me, I literally hear them saying words to me, helping me to pinpoint or bringing up a topic or discussion or something that my client needs to know. So they'll give me words. I'll hear the voices and they'll give me the information that way.
Wow.
The next one, yes.
What do you
How?
hear? Give like an example. Like, you hear things.
Well, a perfect example is right before we came onto the podcast just now.
Sure.
Was I had someone coming through to me for you, and one of the things I kept hearing was the name Steve, Stevie, Steven. So you might just say I'm just repeating your name. No, I literally heard that. I heard that in my head. So I told you that I felt a female energy coming through. She
Hmm.
referred to you as Stevie. Okay. And we had a discussion about that.
Yes, I'm happy to to validate that. I believe that was my aunt, and when you said it, I can hear her say it in my mind, and it's freaky weird. weird. Like I totally forgot that she would say that occasionally. And she passed, I want to say, at least 10 years ago. Yeah, no
Yeah.
more. Like probably, probably 13 years ago ish.
Hmm.
You also said something that the message was, just make sure your heart and everything is in order, which I have
Blood, pre-
recently. Um,
blood pressure in your heart. Yes.
yeah, and she had issues with that. Now, the skeptics can say, "Well, come on, people that a lot of people pass from heart issues, whatever." She did. She. You could have said cancer. You could have said whatever, but that was, And all I'm going to say, not to belabor any of this, but I got a message to do what you just said over the summer. I had never been to a cardiologist. Maybe, when I was 20 something, I passed out. I'm like, man, I better go check on that. And there was nothing. Um, I got something over the summer and looked into it, and I'll continue to look into it based on what you said. And it was just a premonition. It was a couple of things made me think that,
Hmm.
but that brought me to the doctor. It wasn't just, well, you got to stay healthy. There was a reason I intentionally went. So maybe it was her throwing some stuff at me at that time. I don't know. And maybe she's saying, hey, you know what? Double check on that.
Yes. Yeah. Keep
Hmm.
an eye on that is what she said to me.
Hmm.
Um, so moving uh, on the techniques that are used. Uh, the last one is clairsentience. And with sentience is a feeling or a sensation, sentience. So sometimes I get feelings about things. I'm having a conversation with somebody, I'm doing a reading, and I will get feelings or sensations. And this can include smell as well. So I could get a faint smell or a really strong smell, a cigar smell, a pipe smell, a perfume smell, food smells. Oh, the other thing that I wanted to mention to you is somebody was coming through to me, talking to me about food with you. And something about bacon. Now, I don't know if you have a love for bacon or if it's something that you should try and stay away from. But bacon was one of the things, and this sounds really funny, but maybe this was somebody's favorite dessert or yours, but banana cream pie. These are the kinds of things that come to me that I have to talk to my clients about and share with them regardless of how silly or funny they seem to me, they could have some real significant meaning to my clients. Or maybe if they don't have a significant meaning right now, somebody used to make bacon for you all the time, or this was your favorite thing to eat at some point or time in your life. So
Um,
I share them regardless.
I'm getting and it took, as you were saying, I don't know if you saw, I was just looking to the side, like thinking, processing. I'm not just saying this, but when I was younger, gonna say 10, 11, 12, around there, I always spent a lot of time at my where my grandmother lived. My grandmother lived in my aunt's house.
Okay.
My grandmother would make bacon, and it was my favorite thing. The banana cream pie is a little bit of a stretch, but I am going to say this. There's a piece in my mind that says my aunt liked banana cream pie. I know this sounds crazy, but I hear her voice. She was a big dessert person, and she was in great
Okay.
shape. She was a model back in the day. Um, I think she liked banana cream pie, and I'm not just saying that. And I'm trying to like pull it into my mind, and maybe I'm going to talk to my sister, and maybe she would know. But those are not complete stretches. That is,
Yeah, there's
that's where I was.
definitely the thing about making bacon. Okay, that thing is
I
very
can see her
strong.
blotting it with a paper towel. Wow, interesting, huh?
Yeah.
Now, I
Um,
before we continue, and you said this one item I'm going to mention. before you went into the reading, before we got on here, and you said meditation. So I don't know if you want to talk about that now or you want to wait on that, but I find that interesting. And I find a lot of psychics I know do a meditation.
Yeah. Now, meditation can be a lot of different things to different people. Some people can say, oh, well, I did a meditation, and it's a very formal thing where they sit and they go in a quiet room. And I mean, this is a traditional way to do it. Go in a quiet room. Sometimes you might play a little music. Sometimes you will just want total peace and quiet and totally zen and totally kind of zoning inward and forgetting about everything that's outward. For me, a meditation is being in a quiet room. No, I don't have to sit a certain way. I don't have to close my eyes. I'm in a quiet room and I'm letting whatever is going to come in to go ahead and come in. And that comes from years and years of practice of I don't need to have like a formal meditation environment in order for me to calm my thoughts. Like I said to you, I think one other time when we were talking on the podcast, sometimes for me, meditation is just stepping outside, just going outside and kind of communing with nature for a few minutes can bring my mind to the place where it needs to go in order for me to do the work that I do with my clients.
Now, we're going to get back to the tools in a moment, but when you
Yeah.
get into that meditation, what brings you into it? Is it just I walk outside and I get things, or do you intentionally think of something to bring you into closer to that state?
No, I don't. What I intentionally think of is look how beautiful it is out here and think of nothing else. Just experience, a nice cold burst of fresh air because we're in the middle of winter right now. The beautiful snow, just, taking all the cares, anything that might have been in my mind, whooshing around in there, anything that was bothering me, any concerns that I may have, my own personal concerns, whatever, letting it go. Just letting it go and communing with nature is a big one for me, um,
Hmm.
and a great way for me to get myself to where I need to be in order to let the messages come through.
How about some of the other tools?
Oh, the other tools, um, I use them all, or I don't use them, they use me. I mean, literally. I don't have any control over, seeing visions. The visions come to me. I decide whether I'm going to do something with them. If I'm having visions when I'm with a client, of course I'm going to share that with them. So it's not like me sitting there saying, oh, I'm going to do some clairvoyance today
Hmm.
and I'm going to have a vision. No, that's part of what having these gifts are all about. They come to you. You put yourself in a place to accept it, like I just mentioned, whatever a meditative state looks like for you, and the information comes through. Same thing with hearing voices. I could be in the middle of doing a reading for my client. And if I hear something, I'm going to share it with him. And it may not make any sense and usually doesn't whatsoever for me. But the client will say, oh my gosh, I can't believe you just said that. That's something that so and so used to say all the time. Or, that's a word that we joke about, or that's a name that I haven't heard in years. And,
Hmm.
it has some relevance to me. And the clear sentience is um, feeling sensations, but also receiving information from spirits. Spirits come through in a clear, sentient way. You sense their presence, you sense whatever information they're bringing through to you.
Even like today, I mean, you're throwing things out at me. You don't know what they mean. You're like, I got it. Here it comes your
Yeah.
way.
I
If
mean,
it connects.
yeah, today, let's see if we're going to look at the techniques today. Uh, I saw visions. I have no idea what your family members look like, but I saw pictures of my head, in my head of what my head thinks they look like. And they may be very clear pictures of what they actually look like. Or it can just be a version, my version of what I think they look like. Um, Also, the hearing the voices. I heard the voices today. So I mean, with you, I would really like, running on all, what's that saying? I've got everything going here. I had a clairvoyance situation. I heard voices. I had a clairaudience situation. I
Mm,
had a clear sentience, smelling of bacon. Also seeing the bacon, smelling the bacon, um,
mm.
having the vision of banana cream pie. Like that's in my head. All this stuff is in my head. Um, so it's a lot of fun. Uh, to sit down after a reading and for me to sit and say, okay, how did this stuff come to me today? Which ways, which techniques did they come through for me today?
Wow. I have an unrelated question, but I feel I need to ask this question
Go for it.
because it came up yesterday. So I don't even, and I don't, I'm not religious. I just don't, I'm spiritual. Do I go to church? Yeah, occasionally, and I go for, um, the feeling, maybe a connection and all of that. And this actually came up in church yesterday. And I don't know if it was a message for me or what. I believe that we're going deep here, people. I believe that when somebody passes, their energy is around and they give you messages. They give you signs. In church, they said that it's really coming from God or the creator. It's not from that person. It may be sent to you to show that it's from that person, but it's really coming from a higher source. What do you think?
Well, you know, there's something to be said about that, I think. I think it's God who gives me the ability. So God is saying it's okay for me to have this ability because I'm using it in a spiritual way and I'm using it to help people. I'm not using it for any harmful manner. And without God, I don't think I would have these gifts without God. So yeah,
Hmm.
I believe that God is his hand in this because it's just like everything else. If you're a believer, if you believe in God, whether it's Christian or whatever your faith is, you know that God is in everything. God's
Hmm.
in everything. So of course, why wouldn't God be in messages? Why wouldn't God be involved, especially if they can help people?
And we don't know the full dynamics of that, but let's say you have a loved one that passed and they have a message and they want you to have closure, whatever it might be. Who's to say that the mail person, the mail carrier, wasn't God? If that makes sense, like the message, it could have been the person that passed. I've got this for, this individual, my loved one. Maybe they can't directly give it to you, so it's being delivered by God. Hasn't there's an intervention? That's where I'm going with that.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's an
Hmm.
intervention. You see, I noticed like during the holiday season, you watch these Hallmark movies and Hallmark Channel,
Hmm.
and there's a lot of that kind of theme going on in these stories that they tell on these Hallmark channels, like someone who didn't really know their biological parents, but somehow somebody else comes through in their life and is connected somehow to their biological parent or has a message about their biological parent and doesn't even know that they're delivering it to the biological child. These kinds of things go on in life. You just never know.
We
You
don't know.
never
All,
know.
all we know is what we know. And if you're getting messages and signals and you're you're convinced that it's connected to that loved one, then I believe it is. Now, how it got here, I don't know. But you know what? Like use the mail analogy. I open up the mailbox. There's a message for me in a letter, just saying. Uh, the mail carrier brought it, but somebody could have gotten in the car and dropped it off. What do I
Yeah,
know?
you,
But I got it.
exactly,
Hmm.
exactly.
What about any other tools that you use, Kimberly? Anything that
Um,
we didn't hit?
um, I'm trying to think. If I'm doing a reading for someone, um, sometimes people can emanate a certain energy that will help you. This is like a connection thing. You know, some people say to me, "Do you always connect with every single client that you have? Is there ever anybody that you just don't get anything on? You just don't pick up anything on?" And yeah, sure. Maybe that person is really not into it. Um, Maybe they're just I call people blockers. There are some people that I call blockers. And these are people that are just curious about it, but they
Mm,
really don't believe in it and they really don't care. And it's almost like they're playing a game with me to see if I'm real or not real. But they have nothing to go on as to whether I'm real or not real. They're just blocking and they're playing games and they're kind of wasting my time. And I do get those people. And sometimes there's just no information there.
mm.
And there's no easy way to tell someone other than that. Number one, sometimes you got to tell somebody. I don't know if you're consciously doing this or if you're subconsciously doing it, or maybe not even aware that you're doing it, but I feel like you're blocking a connection between you and me in order for me to do something here. Um, and maybe we could try again on another time. You know what I
Wow.
mean?
Mm.
Yeah. But most people that go through the trouble to make an appointment are already into this kind of thing and maybe have had other experiences with other mediums and other psychics, and they have a feel for what the process is and how it works. And um you know I forget what your question was again. What was your question again?
Well, actually, I wondered, we got about a minute left here,
Yeah.
a little bit less, but I'm curious, why do some people come through and not others?
Yeah, that's another good question. Well, why doesn't everybody come through
Right.
all at once, right? Because maybe not everybody has a message for you, or
Mm,
maybe it's not their time to come through for you yet. Maybe there's another time set aside for them to come through for you. Maybe they have nothing to say. um, you know, and it's one of the big mysteries in life. If we look at being psychic, being a medium, going for readings, we can try and say we know the why of it all, but the truth of the matter is we don't know the why of it all. But it's helpful, it helps people, and it works. And that's all that should really matter.
that's
It's
it.
a mystery.
I agree. Well, hey, we're questioning it too right now. How,
Yep.
who's delivering the message? Is it a god? Is it the actual person? We don't know.
Yeah.
The fact is, if it
I
brings
think
you
it's
comfort,
both. Yeah, I think it's both. I think it's God and the spirit.
I'm 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 believing that. I really am.
Yeah.
Kimberly, how do we connect with you if somebody's looking to receive messages, just want some clarity, maybe they have questions involving spiritualism? What do they do?
They can go to my website, which is beyond dash the dash Vail, and they can check out all of my services there. They can complete. I have a form there. If they'd like reading, they can complete the form. It's very, very basic, and that's the quick and
Mm.
easiest way to get in touch with me and have a reading.
I just want to clarify or confirm beyond the veil.com, right?
.com.
Got
Yes.
it. Wonderful. Great talking with you today. Thanks for, again, peeling back the veil so we could get a better idea of how you do what you do. And I'm looking forward next time we talk.
Yes, me too. Thanks so much, Steve.
Gonna go make me some bacon. We love.
Enjoy.
Thanks. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.